The one that I ended up getting was, if you haven't been able to guess by now, so I recently bought a house. I bought a condo and I love watching HGTV and house hunters. I grew up watching HGTV. HGTV raised me. And so I thought it would be fun to do my very own episode of house hunters and show you guys all the houses that I toured and show you guys the one that I purchased. Before I show you guys the house, let's do a true traditional house hunters and show you guys my must-have list. First things first, I feel like I was kind of open to a lot of different things. I was open to it being a house or a condo. After looking, I realized that with my budget, I pretty much could only afford a condo. There were no houses that were within my budget, so it kind of left me with condo. So good thing I was open to a condo. I also wanted the condo to be in Scottsdale, Arizona. Scottsdale is where I currently live. I was open to a couple of different zip codes. I knew the more north I went in Scottsdale, the more expensive that it was going to be. I also wanted it to be 2 bedrooms. I was open to it being 1 bedroom, but it had to have been literally perfect, the most amazing price ever. And I just, at the end of the day, I realized I did want a 2 bedroom, so 2 bedroom. I also wanted an in-unit washer and dryer. This honestly wasn't on my must-have list when I started touring places because I just thought it was standard, and turns out it's not. I don't live in a big city. I live in Scottsdale. I thought it was pretty standard for a washer and dryer to be in unit. I've never not seen it be in unit. I don't live in a big city like New York or anything, but turns out washer and dryer is not standard, so that quickly became on my must-haves list. I also wanted the place that I moved into to not be on ground level and to have certain safety features. I don't want to share like the exact safety features I was looking for. What's the point of them being safe if I share what they are on the internet? But I really did not want to be ground level. That was something that was really important to me. I'm a girl living alone. I just wanted to feel safe and secure, and on a ground level I just didn't feel safe. So that was my must-have list. I toured a ton of places, so let me show you guys all the places that I toured. This was the very first place that I toured, and I thought I'd go into my likes and my dislikes about each place that I toured. The first thing that I really liked about this one was it was a really big kitchen. It was very spacious, and I felt like I could easily paint the cabinets. I didn't love the color of like the orangey warm cabinets. I thought these would be easy to paint. I liked that they were kind of like the shaker style. I liked how big it was. Overall, I felt like it had really great bones and just a few cosmetic things to just kind of update the aesthetic to my personal style. One thing I did not like about it was there's a weird dining room layout. So right when you enter, there's this huge space that you would think would be a dining room, but the door was in the middle of the room, so you couldn't really put a table unless you immediately walked into a table. I think the way that the video makes it look like there's more room than it actually was because I was using like a wide angle lens. You pretty much couldn't put a dining table there unless you immediately walked into the table. It was just kind of like a wasted space that you couldn't really do much with because of where the door was. One thing that I did not like about this place was I felt like it was also really dark and dingy. I went at like the brightest time of the day and it felt pretty dark still. And one thing that I really did not like about this was that it was on the first floor. Again, that was something that I felt like throughout this process you're going to see is something that I tried to get over and I tried to accept of like, no, I'm fine if it's on the first floor. But ultimately I just kept going back to the fact of like I didn't feel safe. For the fact that this was on the first floor was pretty much the reason I crossed this one off of my list. Now, the first 5 condos that I went into and toured, including this one, was all in the same complex. A couple likes and dislikes about this complex because that adds to each condo. I liked how big and safe the complex was. They had like a 24/7 gate guard. I post my life on the internet, so that's something that really is important to me, is like my safety of it all. It was a huge complex. I was like, okay, it wouldn't be easy for like random people to find where I live. The gate guard felt really safe. There was underground parking. I really loved the location of it. Great amenities. However, the 2 things that really sucked about this condominium complex, it was communal washer and dryer for every single unit. There were 2 washer and dryers for 7 stories of units. So for 7 floors, all shared 2 washers and dryers, and it had really weird hours, and they were very small, very old washer and dryers. This condominium was kind of quite old. It had like kind of been renovated, but not really much, and there also were super high HOAs in this condominium. So that was really important to me. I was really open to looking at this because I love the complex itself, but those are definitely some likes and dislikes of the location as a whole. So let's go on to number 2, which was still in this same complex. The second one, I loved the white cabinets. I do like white cabinets. I think that if I were to like custom design a home, I don't know if I would choose white cabinets right now at this point in my life, but I do still really like them. I liked the white cabinets more than I liked the last kitchen. The white cabinets was pretty much the only thing that I liked about this place. It felt really dark and dingy. It kind of felt like there was like no sunlight coming into it. The kitchen layout was really weird because it was so wide, like from one end of the counter to the other was a really long space. Like I could stretch out all my arms and still not hit the other end of the cabinets, and I feel like it was almost too big, which I didn't think was something I would ever feel. It wasn't space planned well. Also, Also, another weird thing was there's nowhere to put the TV. On a wall that you think you would put the TV was pocket doors for the bedroom. So you could really only put the TV in like a corner like they had, because the other wall was a window. So it was kind of a weird layout. I didn't like the way they had it laid out. And then another thing was the master bedroom was far away from the bathroom. Like you'd have to like walk all the way around. Not a big thing. Like this is me being like very nitpicky about all of this. I did think it was really interesting. I liked that it was 2 bedrooms. Most of these, I think, in this condominium that we looked at were 2 bedrooms. Overall, I wasn't obsessed with this place. I think I liked the first place more. Now we're going on to home condo number 3. I liked the white cabinets of this one. I didn't love like the dark countertops. I thought the cabinets were really pretty. I thought they were nicely updated. I did think I would want to replace the floors because I didn't love that. And there's also like this really scary dingy closet in it. I liked that the bedroom was really big. I felt like it wasn't like freshly, newly, completely updated, but that wasn't a super big deal. But I do think for the price, like it should have been. But the ultimate dislike that I had about this place was that the kitchen felt really small. Like it was just kind of like a little it felt really cramped for how big the whole apartment was. Now we're gonna go on to home number 4, and home number 4 was one that I almost put an offer in on, and then I realized I was stupid for doing that. I didn't end up doing it, but I almost did. I was stupid for almost doing that. So this is home number 4, and the thing that I loved the most about this one is the cabinet color. I really love this kind of like cool tone wood. The issue with this though is that was the only thing that I liked. When I was looking back on it, I was like, it is so much easier to change a cabinet color than change every single thing else in a home. I felt like I would have to redo the kitchen counters, and when you look at the kitchen counters, you're like, oh, they're not bad. They were really weird where there was like overhang in certain areas that cut off the kitchen. Like the way that they did it was not right. I don't know how to explain it, but they did do a good job. There was weird overhangs and it made certain areas feel really cramped. I also would probably want to redo the floors. You can't really tell in these videos, but they were really worn up. The place was disgusting and dirty. It could have used a huge clean, but that's not like an issue of not wanting to get the home, but it was very gross. I also would have wanted to change the lighting. I hated like the track lighting that they had. I would have wanted to paint, and the one thing that I did like was the cabinets, but the cabinets were very shallow. And I do feel like I'm being nitpicky, but I realized that there was more that I disliked about this place than I liked. It really did feel like a bachelor pad, which is not a bad thing. It's just not what I want. It's just not my aesthetic. So I just didn't feel like it was like the right home for me. The last one that I toured in this complex was absolutely stunning. So this is home number 5. First of all, I loved this kitchen. I think the backsplash is so cute. I love the way they decorated it and designed it. I thought it was so beautiful. This one was a 2-bedroom plus an office. I honestly didn't feel like I needed that extra space. Like I wanted a 2-bedroom for the 2nd bedroom to be an office. So I was like, why do I need like an extra space? It would have been nice, but it just wasn't needed. But I loved everything about this. I loved the floors. This was the top floor apartment, so they were so bright. There was so much sunlight. Out of all the places we toured in this condominium, this was definitely the brightest. I loved this one the most. However, the 2 things that honestly held me back the most was number 1, the price. This was like kind of out of my budget if I remember correctly. So like I'm not gonna get something out of my budget. And number 2, I felt like the kitchen was just really small. It was a beautiful kitchen, but I felt like it was way too small for how big the unit was and for the price, especially in comparison to the other units I was looking at. I think if I had only looked at this one, I wouldn't think, oh, it's a small kitchen. But since I was looking at all these other ones with these like almost too big of kitchens, I was like, this thing is tiny. But I love the backsplash. Also, not to mention, the HOA on this exact unit was $700 a month. And I don't know about you guys and where you live, but where I live, that is a lot of money. That is way too much money. None of the units in this condominium ended up being for me. And ultimately, the washer and dryer situation of how many people share the washer and dryer was the biggest thing that deterred me from touring this complex again. There also wasn't an option to put in a washer and dryer anywhere. Like, you weren't allowed to do that. So that was something that if I was allowed to put in a washer and dryer, I think I'd be more open to it. But all 5 of them off the list. The next one, home number 6, I thought was really cute because it had this super cute fireplace. I really liked it. It had an updated kitchen. One thing that I didn't love about the kitchen though is it's kind of like one of those like hallway kitchens, and I really didn't like how closed off it was. It had a washer and dryer, which was amazing, and I was like, yes, great storage, great pantry. It had a cute little like bar area, which I thought was adorable. I liked the location of where it was. It was kind of by where I used to live in my last apartment, but the thing that deterred me from this the most was it wasn't even on a ground level. It was like below the ground level. Like, oh god, that scared me. My door just closed because the air is turning on. Oh my god, that, like, my heart is actually beating right now really fast. Anyways, it was below a ground level. Like, it was like half underground, half above ground, and I really didn't like that at all. So I was out for this one. Home number 7 was kind of newly renovated, and I really liked that about it. I thought it was really cute. I wouldn't say the way that they renovated it was like exactly my aesthetic, but it was nice. I didn't love the floors. The floors were like super warm toned. Wasn't a super big fan of that, but this is like me being nitpicky. You know, these are all things that I could have changed. I also feel like the kitchen was pretty small, but ultimately the reason I decided not to go with this this one was because it was on the first floor. And at this point I was like, okay, I can't keep telling myself that it's okay that I find a first floor, because I think for a while I was like, the only good units that I could find that were like huge and renovated and within my price range and were not like a complete gut renovation were on the first floor. And I think that I was trying to tell myself that I could live with it, but I think every single time I toured it, I just couldn't live with it. This next one that we're gonna look at was also on a first floor. However, I was all right with this one being on the first floor because it was a 2-story and I felt like it was safer. Like there was a certain way that you enter it that made me feel safer than just entering it from outside. Like there was more security to it, so I felt safer with this one being on the first floor. I really loved the renovated kitchen of this one. I thought the renovated kitchen was absolutely adorable. I love what they did with it. The thing that ultimately deterred me from this one was it was really small. I think the living room looks a lot bigger in these videos than it actually was. The living room I don't think could even fit my furniture that I already own. The upstairs had 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, which was really nice. The way that they renovated it was really great. They also had a like combination of a washer and dryer. So instead of having a separate washer and a separate dryer, it was like a 2-in-1 thing. I think those are pretty common in Europe. I've heard really bad things about those. I've heard that they like just don't dry your clothes. They're not good. And that was a huge thing that I was like, I don't want that. I really want like a standard washer and dryer, and there was nowhere in the place that I could install one. Because I was looking, I was like, okay, maybe in this closet I could. No. I was considering getting this one in all honesty, but I feel like the washer and dryer situation and then just like how tiny the living room was. There was also a bathroom that was like so small. At this point I was feeling really discouraged because I was like, is there ever going to be anything not on a first floor? And then I ended up finding this one, and let me tell you guys, when I walked into this one, I immediately was like, I want to live here. Like this is mine. Like let's put in an offer. Like I didn't even have to look at the whole thing. I was like, I'm obsessed with this one. So let me show it to you guys. So this is condo number 9, and this condo actually reminds me a lot of where I currently live with the kitchen. I will say, like, if I were to design a kitchen on my own, I don't think I'd make gray cabinets, but I still do like them enough to currently live in a condo with gray cabinets. The kitchen was huge. It was just, everything was so renovated and updated. Like they had brand new windows, brand new doors. Everything was so well done. You can tell that people who renovated it to live in it rather than just like flip it, so they didn't do a cheap job with it. Like everything was brand new. There was a glass shower, which was just like absolutely stunning. There were 2 bedrooms. I loved everything about this. Like the closets were even like custom closets. The living room is big. This was by far the best one we had seen. By far. And I was so obsessed with this one. We put in an offer for this one. We got our offer accepted. I went through the whole process. We had an inspection, all of this. And then it turned out no bank would lend on this certain unit because of some insurance reason. And the only way that I could get this condo is if I paid for it in all cash, which number 1, I do not have that much cash. Don't have that. Number 2, even if I did, which I don't, if I wanted to sell in the future, I could only sell it for all cash, which is just not a great financial decision. I was so heartbroken because I was like, this was the perfect home. Like there wasn't anywhere that compared to this one. There was one thing that I did not like about it, is it did not have a washer and dryer. It shared a washer and dryer only with 1 other unit. And so I was like, okay, I can share a washer and dryer with 1 other unit. I think considering that this home is so perfect in comparison to all the other ones that I've seen, this is the one. I was so obsessed, and I was so heartbroken that I couldn't get this one, especially when we were so far along the process. So we went back to the drawing board. At this point too, this is a whole story in of itself, I had to re-sign my lease. I think that I had less than a week left to give my apartment a notice if I was going to re-sign my lease or not. So I was like, I pretty much have a week to find a place, put an offer, get it accepted to know if I'm going to be moving. And I was also a little traumatized from the last experience of it falling through, even though we were like a month long into the process of it. So I was really worried, and I pretty much was like, I think that I should just give up and wait until next year to find a place. And then one day in the middle of the night, I found this place. So this is condo number 10. So this one had recently been renovated. I love this one a lot. The thing that was a little annoying was it wasn't as nice and top end as number 9, and it was a little bit more expensive. It wasn't like too much more expensive, but it was a little bit more expensive, and it just didn't have like the glass shower and brand new doors and all of that, which was a little disappointing. However, I love this one. I like the aesthetic of this one more than I like the aesthetic of the gray kitchen. This one also had 2 bedrooms. I loved how bright it was. That was the thing that I really loved about this one. There was one other one that we looked at, and this one was a potential for me to renovate it myself and to make it custom and to make it exactly the way that I wanted. This one, the thing that I liked about it was that I could make it exactly the way that I wanted. The thing that I didn't like about it was I pretty much had to gut everything. Like I would have had to get brand new windows, brand new air conditioning, all new kitchen, all new water heater. Like it was quite old and outdated. And honestly, I mean this in like the nicest way because I feel like this sounds bad, but it was was like kind of scary being in it. Like it was really dark and dingy. I think that if it wasn't so dark, like if there was really good natural lighting, I might have gotten that one and I might have flipped it myself and might have renovated it. However, just because it was so dark and I didn't really know what going into renovating a place is like, especially this one, it was so, everything was old. The air conditioning was old. Like everything needed to be replaced. And I was like, I don't know how much money I'm getting into with this. I didn't know how much time, the cost of it all would be. I would want to replace everything, the kitchen, the floor, the paint, like every single thing, and not just cosmetic things too. So the one that I ended up getting was, if you haven't been able to guess by now, number 10. I am in love with it. I think that it kind of popped up the perfect timing of it all. I love it. I think out of all of them too, I think that it worked out perfectly. I think the one that I almost got, I was so upset, but I love this one even more. I think it's more of my aesthetic. I think that it's so freaking cute and I'm so excited. I get the keys tomorrow when I'm filming this. Losing condo number 8 was so disappointing, but it ended up leading me to find a place that was even better for me, even more perfect, even more my aesthetic, and I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. I hope that you guys like that one as well. I hope that would be the one that you guys would choose as well. I'm so excited, and I'm so excited for the moving vlogs and to take you guys with me. There are a couple of things that I want to do to it to change it a slight bit, and so I'm so excited to take you guys with me for that as well. I hope you liked this episode of House Hunters and I will see you guys in my next video. Get excited for the moving vlogs because I'm so excited. Bye guys.